Good morning, students. Today we will be learning few definitions related to new terms which are in magnetism. So we will be learning a lot of definitions today. Also, we will be seeing some phenomena like magnetization and new terms like magnetic induction, magnetic susceptibility, etc. So let us go directly into the topic. Let me share my screen. Okay, can you see the screen now?
Yes, teacher.
Okay. So here, today we are planning to discuss some of the definitions related to magnetism. These quantities you already know. What is meant by a magnet? The substance which create a magnetic field and apply force on another magnet or magnetic substance is called a magnet. For example, anything, see here I have a magnet here. So this apply force on another magnet. I have two magnets here. So I'm trying to bring them together, but they repel. They are not attracting. But when I turn one of them and bring it together, they attract. See? So they apply force on another magnet or a magnetic substance. For example, here I have a jump clip which is made of iron. So if I keep it near here, it attracts. So it attracts magnetic substances while it applies force on another magnet. Another magnet, it can either attract or repel. See, it's repelling. It's not going near. It's repelling. Okay. And what is meant by a magnetic substance? The substance.
Teacher, Ronnie is waiting.
Yeah, I admitted him. The substances that are attracted by a magnet and can be converted to magnets are called magnetic substances. So it will be attracted by a magnet. Can you give an example for magnetic substance?
Iron.
Iron, nickel, etc. are magnetic substances. So here, see, it is attracted by a magnet. Here on this, under this red plastic thing, I have a magnet. So it is attracting that. And see here, this pin is attracting another thing. See, another thing it is attracting. So this is now converted into a magnet. If I remove this red thing, you can see that if I remove this, it will no longer be a magnet. See, it came down. So usually this metal will not attract this another iron piece, but if I make it attracted by a magnet, it will attract, which means this jump clip of iron is now attracting another iron piece, another pin, which is made of iron. So magnetic substances are that which are attracted by a magnet and can be converted to magnets. Now, what are non-magnetic substances? Can you give examples for non-magnetic substances?
Wood.
Wood.
Plastic.
So all those. So I have a plastic top here. So I'm bringing it near a magnet. Is it attracting? No, it's not attracting. I have a pencil which is made of wood. Now you can see that it's not attracting the pencil. So these are substances that are not attracted by a magnet and cannot be converted to magnets. Now magnetic pole. So how many magnetic poles are there?
Two.
Two. Which are they?
North Pole and South Pole.
North Pole and South Pole. You already have the idea. The zones at the two ends of a magnet where the attractive power is maximum is called magnetic poles. There are two poles, North Pole and South Pole. it is impossible to get an isolated pole or monopole. Why? What happens if we break a magnet into two? What will happen? If we break a magnet into two, it will break and becomes two new magnets. See, if I break this magnet into two new magnets, each having a north pole and a south pole is obtained. So it is almost impossible to get an isolated pole or monopole, because if we divide a magnet into any number of pieces, each of them will act as a complete magnet. So we know that there are two charges. Which are they? Well, there are two kinds of charges you learned in electrostatics. Positive charge and negative charge. Is it possible to separate them? Yes, we can have one single charge. But for a magnet, there are two poles, north pole and south pole. But we cannot get a magnetic monopole. If we break a magnet into many small pieces, the last one, even if it is the size of one single atom, it will have a north pole and south pole of its own. So it is not possible to get a monopole. Why?
Teacher?
Yes?
Teacher, the pin you made a magnet, right? The pin you used. So which part of that in the north and south? How can we?
Okay. For this, I do not know which part is north and south. Okay. Which part is north and south, I do not know. But suppose this is north. This is north. Suppose. Now, if I attract this and the pin becomes a magnet, we know that north pole of a magnet attracts which part?
South.
South. So this end will be south and this end will be north.
Okay. Okay, got it.
So that's how. We don't know for this iron piece which is north and south, but we know that the south pole should be attracted by a north. So this should be south and this is north. Yes.
In the opposite side, if we add another magnet.
And let us try. Let us try. I'm trying to keep, we know that this should repel. See?
Okay, got it.
Got it? It's repelling,
yeah,
right?
Got it. Yes.
Because this should be, if this is north, this should be north. That's why it's repelling. Now let us see what happens. Yeah, it's attracting.
Good.
Can you see that?
Yes, got you.
So that's how it forms. So that's about the magnetic poles. Now we will learn more new terms. These are terms which you haven't come across before. So what is a magnetic axis? The imaginary line connecting two poles of a magnet is called magnetic axis. Here you can see a figure. So magnetic axis will be the line CD. See, this line CD connects the two poles. Here I have marked south pole and here north pole. So this line CD is the magnetic axis, the imaginary line connecting two poles of a magnet. Now, what is geometric length? Geometric length is the distance between the ends of a magnet. So here in this figure, geometric length is the length AB. So that is the ends of the magnet. It starts from A and ends at B, right? So the length AB is the geometric length. Now, what is meant by magnetic length or effective length? The distance between two poles of a magnet is called magnetic length. And it is a vector directed from south pole to north pole. So here, can you tell me what will be magnetic length? I told that the magnetic axis is CD. The geometric length is AB. Can you tell me what will be the magnetic length?
CD.
CD, is it connecting from south to north? No, it extends beyond that. So what will be magnetic length?
AB.
AB is geometric length. It
No,
also,
teacher, like it's given as 2n, right? See?
yeah, it is given as 2 ends. The distance between 2 ends is called the geometric length. My question is,
Okay.
what is magnetic length? It is the distance between two poles. The point I want to clarify here is that the south pole and the north pole is not at the geometric ends. See, S I haven't marked at this point.
Okay.
Moved it a little into the bar magnet. Here north is also not at this end. I have moved that a little into the bar magnet. That means the geometric length will be always a little bigger than the magnetic length. Magnetic length is here from S to N. Sn is the magnetic length, which will be always smaller than the geometric length. This magnetic length is usually represented by a vector 2L. It's called 2L, not L. Do you remember dipole? In electrostatics, you learned dipole. What is a dipole? Two equal and opposite charges separated by a small length. And that small length between plus Q and minus Q charge was named as 2L. Remember? Similarly,
Yes.
a bar magnet can be considered as a magnetic dipole because it always have two poles, a north pole and a south pole, and the distance between them is called the magnetic length, and it is represented by 2L, and it is directed from the south pole to the north pole. Okay, so this is magnetic length. And as I told,
So which one is the magnetic length? C to D?
no, magnetic
Then
length is S to N. S to N.
you said it is not in the axis, right? I think
It's
I'm
along the
adding the.
axis. It's along the axis. You can also take up, no problem. It should be from the south pole of the bar magnet to the north pole. That's all.
Okay.
So this distance and directed from south to north is called the magnetic length, and it is a vector. And as I told before, the geometric length will be always a little more than the magnetic length. And for any given magnet, the ratio of the magnetic length to the geometric length will be a constant. That value is 0.85. See, this value is less than 1, which means magnetic length will be always less than geometric length. So if you take any magnet, the ratio between magnetic length and geometric length will be a constant, and it is 0.85. Is that clear to you?
Yes, teacher.
Yes. Okay. Now, let us learn two new terms which is actually related to the magnetic field produced by Earth. Geographic meridian. Geographic meridian is the imaginary vertical plane along the geographic north and geographic south pole at a place on Earth. So here you have a globe shown here. So geographic meridian is an imaginary plane that passes through the North Pole and South Pole. You know that the North Pole and South Pole, geographic North Pole and geographic South Pole is different from the magnetic North Pole and magnetic South Pole. We saw that yesterday, right? So the line, an imaginary plane. Suppose this is a globe. This is not circular, but let us consider this is a plane. And here I have at one end the North Pole and this is the South Pole. Now, if I want to find the geographic meridian at this place, I have to consider a plane that I will get if I cut this and the plane passing through the North Pole and South Pole. Okay, so that will be the geographic meridian at this place. Now, suppose I want to find the geographic meridian at this place. Then I have to cut it like this. Cut it like this so that the plane passes through the North Pole and South Pole. So is it clear what is meant by geographic meridian? It's an imaginary vertical plane along the geographic North and South Pole at a place on Earth. So at different place, the geographic meridian will be different. At that place, containing that place, you have to imagine a vertical plane which is passing through the North Pole and South Pole. Is it clear what is geographic meridian? Only if it is clear,
Yes, teacher.
magnetic meridian will be clear to you.
Teacher, can you repeat again?
What geographic meridian?
Yes.
Yeah. Suppose I have a globe. I don't have a globe here. That's why I took this one. So suppose I have a globe. And then on the globe, you know that you have North Pole and South Pole, which is geographic. Earth's usual North Pole and South Pole. Let me mark the North Pole with red here. Okay. Oh, I think it's not visible, right? Red. And then let me mark the South Pole as green. Okay. So here you have the North Pole and the South Pole. Now I want to find the geometric meridian at a place. Then I have to imagine a vertical plane that is passing through the Earth and passing through the North Pole and South Pole at that place. So that will be the geographic meridian at that place. Have you learned longitude and latitude?
Yes, teacher.
So this is a latitude. So this is a latitude. See here, if I consider a place here, then the geographic meridian at that place will be cut through this latitude and it will pass through the North Pole and South Pole. Is that clear now? Suppose
Yes,
I
teacher.
am here.
Yes, this is the equator, right?
Yeah, here I'm telling this line, the vertical line,
Yes.
not the horizontal. Equator is the horizontal. So this is a longitude. So if I cut through this longitude and it will pass through the North Pole and South Pole. So that is called the geographic meridian. Okay?
Yes.
Now, if you understand geographic meridian, it will be easy to understand what is a magnetic meridian. Magnetic meridian is the imaginary vertical plane passing through the magnetic axis of a freely suspended magnet at that place. So if I stay here, if it is here, you know that the magnetic meridian will be slightly tilted. We saw yesterday, let me just show the yesterday's slide. Here, we saw that the geographic North Pole and South Pole is here. And this is the geographic axis, the Earth's axis of rotation. Then we have the magnetic axis that connecting the magnetic South Pole and magnetic North Pole, and they are not coinciding. There is an angle of 11.5 degree between them. Okay, so, and the magnetic South Pole is 1,750 kilometers from the geographic North Pole towards the west. This is west, this is east. So the South Pole, magnetic South Pole is 1,750 kilometers on Earth's surface from the geographic North Pole towards west. Can you make similar statement regarding this magnetic North Pole? Can you make? The magnetic North Pole will be 1,750 kilometers from the geographic South Pole towards east. So they do not coincide. Is that clear?
No, teacher.
What, the two poles are not the same. They do not coincide. They are not at the same point. It's actually different. So the
You said
compass,
about 1000 something you said. Can you repeat that?
yeah, suppose this is the geographic North Pole. We are going on the Earth's surface and we are standing exactly on the surface of Earth at the North Pole. Then, if we want to go to the magnetic South Pole, we have to travel in a car or a bus or a train. We have to travel 1,750 kilometers on the surface of Earth to reach the magnetic South Pole. They are not at the same place. That's what we are trying to tell. Is that clear now?
Yes, teacher.
And we will have to travel towards the west. And here, if we want to travel from the South Pole of Earth towards the magnetic North Pole, we will have to travel the same distance, that is 1,750 kilometers on the surface of Earth towards east in order to get the North Magnetic Pole. My idea here is to let you know that the geographic North and South axis will be different from the magnetic North and South axis. So the magnetic meridian is defined as the imaginary vertical plane passing through the magnetic axis of a freely suspended magnet. So here I told this is the geographic North. So where will be the magnetic South? It will be some distance away from that. Okay. So now if I'm standing here, I got the geographic plane, geographic meridian by cutting through the longitude at that place. Now magnetic meridian, I have to cut a little different because the distance is different. The axis is different. So I have to cut this through this axis to get the magnetic meridian. They are not the same. So it's an imaginary plane we get by cutting through the magnetic axis at that place. Is it clear?
Yes.
And there will be an angle between these two planes, right?
Yes.
That angle is called declination. If you are standing at different places on the Earth's surface, the declination will be slightly different. And also since the Earth...
Teacher?
What?
How can be difference? Because whenever we choose a geographic meridian, 11.5 degree will be away from the magnetic meridian, right?
Yes, that is not meridian. That is the difference between the two axes. Axis is a single line passing through the center of Earth. Magnetic axis is also a single line passing through the center of Earth. Axes are lines which are passing through the center of Earth. They are not passing through any point on the surface of Earth. So it will remain a constant. But these are meridians. Meridians are not lines. It is a plane. So if you take different point on the surface of Earth, the plane will be slightly different. All those planes can pass through the center of Earth, through the axis. Is that clear now?
Yes, teacher.
So meridian and axis are different. 11.5 degrees is the angle between those two axes. It will be same because it is passing only through the center of Earth, not any point on the surface of Earth. But magnetic and geographic meridian, they are planes. So they are passing both through the axis and through a point on the surface of Earth. So if I take different point on the surface of Earth, the planes also will change, right? So at different point on the surface of Earth, the declination, that is the angle between the two meridians, will be different. So what is the declination at Dhaka? We are
0.5 degree.
0.5 degree or 30 minutes. Sometimes angles are expressed in minutes as well. 60 minutes means 1 degree. And 60 seconds means 1 minute. So sometimes it is also mentioned as nearly 30 minutes. I think it is some 26 minutes or 28 minutes. So that is approximately half a degree, that is 0.5 degree. We will further discuss about declination later. Okay, so what are these terms clear to you?
Yes, teacher.
Let me go to another concept. Then what is meant by magnetic pole strength? Magnetic pole strength is a quantity which represents the strength of the pole. It's the property of the magnetic poles on which the magnetic strength at a particular distance depends. So the magnetic pole strength has a unit ampere meter. So we have the North Pole and South Pole, right? They are more stronger compared to the other regions within the magnet. So magnetic pole strength will be different for different magnets. The stronger the magnet, more will be the magnetic pole strength. And its unit is ampere meter. Now, another term, magnetic moment or magnetic dipole moment, M, which is same as what you have learned. One way to find the magnetic moment is NIA. Do you remember that? N is the number of turns, I is the current, A is the area of cross section. So magnetic moment is also defined as, it's the same thing. It's also defined as the product of the magnetic pole strength and magnetic length of a magnet. If the magnetic field is created by a bar magnet, you can find magnetic moment as M into 2L, where small m is the magnetic pole strength and 2L is the magnetic length. Remember the distance from the South Pole to North Pole. And if the magnetic field is produced by a circular current carrying coil, you can use the other equation, that is NIA. So if it is a bar magnet, the equation to be used is M into 2L. And the unit is same. Its unit is ampere meter square and it is directed from South Pole to North Pole. Now, magnetic field or magnetic flux density. You have also learned B, the magnetic flux density before. Remember the force acting upon a charged particle moving in a magnetic field? F is equal to QVB sine theta. So from that equation, we took B is equal to F divided by QV sine theta. And we defined the magnetic field as the force experienced per unit charge moving perpendicular to the magnetic field with unit velocity. The same thing, magnetic field, is also sometimes called magnetic flux density. So we are learning new terms for what we have already learned before. So magnetic flux density can also be defined as magnetic flux per unit area, that is phi by A. Phi represents magnetic flux. And both are same. Magnetic field and magnetic flux density are same. So don't get confused. Sometimes in the question, it will be given magnetic flux density. You can take it as B. There is no confusion. Okay. And it also have the same unit Tesla or Newton per ampere per meter. Now, the new term which we are going to learn today is magnetic intensity. What is magnetic intensity? It is the ratio of the magnetic field to magnetic permeability at a point. So, B is the magnetic field. This is magnetic permeability, mu. What is the value of mu in vacuum? What is the value of mu in vacuum?
10 raised to minus 7.
4 pi into 10 raised to minus 7.
Yeah, 4.2.
4 pi into 10 raised to minus 7. And if it was any other medium, mu value will be slightly different. So if we are finding H in free space or in vacuum, you can use B by mu naught. If it is in any other medium, if it is inside a material, you have to use the magnetic permeability of that material. So this is the equation to find a new quantity which is called magnetic intensity. Magnetic intensity is B by mu. Remember this. And its unit is ampere meter square. The old unit of magnetic intensity was Oersted. Do you remember Oersted?
No,
Have you
teacher.
heard this word, Oersted?
No.
In the beginning of this chapter, we started with
Yes,
Oersted.
coiling magnetic coil, I guess. Something like that.
Yeah, Oersted is the scientist who first showed experimentally the relation between two fields of physics, electricity and magnetism. He was the one who showed that if a current carrying coil of wire is kept near a magnetic compass, the magnetic compass deflects. Remember? And if the current is more, there will be more deflection. So that experiment was conducted by the scientist called Oersted. So that is the first lesson of this chapter. Please revise that. So in honor of his name, we have given the unit for magnetic intensity as Oersted. 1 Oersted means 1 ampere per meter. So this is a new term, magnetic intensity. Now, another new concept is magnetization. What is meant by magnetization? Sometimes if a magnetic material, magnetic substance is brought near a magnet, it becomes a magnet, as we saw here. Here, we have brought a magnetic substance, that is a piece of iron, near to a magnet, which means around any magnet, there will be a magnetic field, right? So if I place it near to a magnet, what happens? This becomes a magnet. This process is called magnetization. Okay? So when you place a magnetic substance in another magnetic field, it will become a magnet. This process is called magnetization. And the intensity of magnetization is represented by the letter I. The magnetic moment per unit volume in a magnetic substance